Hello and welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or wherever in the world you are. Welcome to another Microsoft Reactor workshop this evening. It's almost evening for us. Before we begin, I would like to say a quick word about Microsoft's Code of Conduct. We all come from a different background, but we are all here to learn. So please be aware of each other and be welcoming and respectful to all points of views. Today we have our speaker Olga for the next session of SaaS Academy. But before we carry on, I'm going to show you a quick SaaS Academy video, and then I will hand over the word to Dorin, who is going to introduce our session today, as well as our speaker.
Did you know that every business will eventually become a software business? Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella not only made that prediction, but also continues to lead Microsoft to SaaSify its portfolio. With SaaS solutions, you can grow your business and make even sophisticated enterprise applications like ERP and CRM affordable if you lack the resources to buy, deploy, and manage your infrastructure and software. So, how to get started with SaaS? That's why we created the Microsoft SaaS Academy. It is your chance to deep dive into the latest Microsoft technologies and learn more about the future of software as a service from Microsoft experts, partners, and customers. Our SaaS Academy was designed with a business track and a tech track to provide companies like yours with the SaaS knowledge that fulfills their needs. Our business track covers the SaaS fundamentals, whether you are a cloud-native company or a traditional software provider, while the tech track addresses technical aspects of building a SaaS solution, including SaaS architecture, DevOps, and sustainable software engineering. You can get started with SaaS in the same time it would take you to build a Microsoft PowerPoint about it. Ready to accelerate your journey to SaaS? Don't miss our upcoming webinars and join the Microsoft SaaS Academy now.
And yes, with that said, I'm going to hand the word over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world watching our SaaS Academy webinar in the technical track. Today's session is about end-to-end data integration, and I am very happy to have Olga as our speaker today. She's originally from Moldova, but lives in Amsterdam nowadays and have worked for Microsoft for 6 years. But especially today, congratulations is in place because it's actually her first anniversary in our fast track team. Olga is specialized in batch and real-time data analytics, and together with her team, they help our customers through simple and robust solutions. And a fun fact about her, that she's a half marathon runner and she loves snowboarding. Without further ado, welcome to our session, Olga, and I'll let you lead the way.
Thanks a lot, Dorian, and thanks, Erica. All right, I think I want to share my screen now. If you can put me through, Erica, please. Okay, that's visible. All right, great. All right, so hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're joining. In this session today, I am going to present you Azure Data Factory or Synapse pipelines, which are really the same. I'm going to talk more about this, and I'm going to have a demo section at the end. The way I thought about this presentation is really to start from a place where you don't really have to have any prior knowledge of Data Factory, and we will build, in the complexity as we go through. So let's dive in, I would say. Okay, let me see why my slides are not moving. Okay. All right, now they do. It's just much slower than I expected. Okay. All right. So I think this is one of the few things that the entire world agrees on, is that data is growing exponentially. We are bombarded with data from everywhere in so many different formats and shapes. And really the challenge for most of the organizations is really how do you extract insight from it? How do you, transform, clean, and prepare the data so business decision makers can actually get value out of it. Based on research, we know that 93% of companies find challenging to use existing data. On average, organizations have 400 data sources. Now, when I first saw this number, I thought it's staggering. But then when I sat and thought about this more, I realized that Microsoft as an organization has many more data sources. So probably we're one of those organizations that is queuing this data. But obviously, all the organizations have very different data sources, in different shapes coming in at high rates. So every organization really needs a way to integrate data and extract insight from it. Now, let me see if I'm being more successful at switching slides. Okay. So really the goal is to effectively integrate data because we know that companies that are successful at doing it have an edge and succeed when compared to companies that are not successful at, extracting value from their data. Okay, and this is the place where I'm going to introduce Data Factory. So there are many ETL tools out there, but what we are going to talk about today is really the go-to ETL tool that Azure has to offer, and it is Data Factory. Now, Data Factory is this, I'm sorry, okay. Just one thing that I want to mention is that if you cannot hear me or my slides are stuck, I'd really appreciate a message in the chat. Now, this being said, I'm gonna go on with the presentation. All right, so Data Factory is this really mature technology. I think we launched it around 2017, 2018. So it's really very mature. It has this large number of connectors. I think it really got to be so popular and had this adoption because it has this visual authoring UI that allows you to transform data, to ingest and transform data without any code. It also offers this built-in Git integration. Currently, we support GitHub repositories and Azure DevOps repositories. And of course, taking it one step further would be to actually enable automated CI/CD, which we support in Data Factory. And you can do this with Azure DevOps pipelines or with GitHub Actions. It is cost effective. We're going to talk a little bit more about the compute that's powering Data Factory. At this point, let's just mention that it's serverless for most part. It scales on demand, of course. And the nice part about it is, of course, that you pay for what you use. As I mentioned, it has this really huge number of connectors, 100 plus. The number keeps growing. And if you don't have a connector for the data source that you're trying to connect, there are a number of generic connectors that you can use, like ODBC or OData or HTTP or REST connectors. And if you run into a situation where even these don't help your use case, we also have the possibility of actually having something like an Azure function or a custom activity where you write some code to connect to a specific data source and perform some transformation. When this is not part of the built-in functionalities. So you can always do that as well. All right. So on this slide, we are really trying to show what is a usual flow of data. And really we're targeting with Data Factory different personas. Of course, we have the data engineer, that likes working with a tool like Data Factory, but we also have the data scientist or the citizen integrator, of course. So what we usually see with Data Factory is really, we connect to the data sources, which can be anywhere, on premises, of course, or in different clouds, or you can connect to different SaaS data sources. You ingest this data and then you prepare it, you transform it, you clean it, and then you output it into a serving layer where then you can, build visualizations, and you can have analysts and business decision makers looking at it and, making informed decisions based on that. All right. Now, this is where we go into the nitty-gritty details of Data Factory specifically. Everything that I'm going to discuss about right now actually applies to Synapse pipelines as well. Really, Azure Data Factory pipelines and Synapse pipelines are the same. What we did is we brought the functionality of Azure Data Factory into the Synapse workspace. So even though further I'm going to refer to Data Factory and Data Factory pipelines, they're really the same. There is currently a little gap, so it's not complete feature parity, but we are working on bridging that gap. So hopefully soon they really will be totally the same. So going forward, I'm going to explain these concepts which really apply to Synapse pipelines as well. All right. So when you start working with Data Factory, what you need to understand are these basic entities that you need to create in order to, work with your data. And we start with an entity which we call linked service. Usually, when you want to connect to a data store, let's say a SQL server, you'll have to provide some credentials that you want to use to connect to that data store. And you do this in a linked service. So a linked service will hold information, credential information, which is, a user and a password or some account key or some other secret that you are using to connect to your data store. Then after defining how you connect to your data store, you need to define what shape or what type your data is in. And that's where you do this in data sets. So in data sets, you will define basically for relational data stores, you will define the type of the database that you have, the tables that you are connecting to, the schema that the table has. Maybe if you're writing into a relational data store, then you'll want to also say what is the behavior that you want to use there. So this is what you do with the data set. You define the shape of your data. For file stores, for example, you would say that your data is in Parquet format or CSV or Avro and so on and so forth. After defining, how you connect to your data store and what shape your data is in, you want to define also the activity or what do you do actually with that data. So activities are these single units or steps that define a specific action that happens. For example, you can have a copy activity which moves data, from point A to point B. You can chain different activities to form a pipeline. And usually we think of a pipeline as an end-to-end workflow. So you can have multiple steps or multiple activities that together form a pipeline, and it's a complete workflow. The power of Data Factory really also lies in its sheer number of activities and the possibilities that those activities offer. So just some of the types that we have are really, this classical copy activity, of course, and then we can go into these control flow activities where, you have lookup activities where you can look up some information in a table or file and then dictate what exactly doing the subsequent activities you can have for each loops. You can have if conditions, you can have switch statements, you can have until activities and validate activities. So there is a very big number of activities that allow you to do very complex logic. Besides these activities, what you also have is dependency between two activities. So for example, as you can see in this specific slide, for example, you can define what you do on success. So if step A is successful, my step B will be 1, and if step A is failed, then my next action will be different. Okay, so you have this this possibility to define also dependencies between pipelines and what you do, when an activity is successful or failed, or it's completed or skipped. What that means is basically completion means either successful or failed, and skipped is when, because the condition was not fulfilled, as in my activity was supposed to only execute on success and the previous activity failed, now this activity will be skipped because it never executed. So this is sort of in a nutshell some of the capabilities that we have. Then if we think about triggering or scheduling the pipeline, because of course you want the orchestration to be also handled by your ETL tool, right? Data Factory gives you a few options in here as well. You can trigger your pipeline on demand from going to the portal and just clicking on trigger now. We have a big number of SDKs as well, allowing you to do that. And of course, we have a schedule trigger, which allows you to create a schedule for your pipeline, as well as a tumbling window trigger. And we have also event triggers. And event triggers really allow you to define pipelines when a blob is created or a blob is deleted. Now, we got a lot of feedback after we launched this event trigger out there. Customers wanted to see more events, not just blob created and blob deleted. So we basically said, okay, we leveraged in this event trigger, we leveraged the event grid functionality and integration with blob storage. And we said, let's create another trigger, which we call just custom trigger, in which you can just go and take advantage of all the integrations that event grid currently has. So you're not anymore bounded just to this blob create and blob delete events. You can create a custom event where you can leverage everything that event grid has to offer, which, trust me, are a very big number of events out there, and the number keeps growing. So watch this space, it's very cool. All right, now let's go into the compute, which is a very important part to understand about Data Factory. The compute in Data Factory, we call it integration runtime. Now, a while ago when we started, we really had two types of integration runtimes. We had this Azure integration runtime, which was the public integration runtime, which had the ability to connect to public data stores. And we had the same integration runtime packaged as an MSI that you could install on a VM. And we called it self-hosted integration runtime. And you could use it to connect to your on-premises data stores or data stores under a firewall, behind a firewall, or in a VNet, basically everything that was private. Now, of course, not everybody was happy to actually have a VM to orchestrate the pipelines. So thanks to the private link service, which hopefully some of you that are Azure users have heard of, we took advantage of this private link service, and we created another type of integration runtime where we call it managed VNet integration runtime. And what it is really we create a virtual network that belongs only to the ADF instance that you created. We manage that VNet, so you don't have access to it, but we manage it for you, but it's only private to you. And we create this integration runtime. We inject this machine when you have pipelines executed that leverage this integration runtime, which is why we call it managed VNet integration runtime. The cool thing about it is that now you can have this native machine running in Azure. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to take care of it, that can leverage private endpoints and connect to PaaS services privately through Azure Backbone. This is really cool. Of course, managed VNet integration runtime costs more than the Azure integration runtime because it's private to you. So We don't leverage anymore the economies of scale that you can have when you have shared compute. All right, another type of integration runtime, last but not least, so to say, is the SSIS integration runtime, which, as the name suggests, is really a way for you to lift and shift your SSIS packages to the cloud. Just rehost this in the cloud, so you don't have to have infrastructure on-prem, and this gives you more time to sort of transform those ETL packages. All right, let me think if I covered everything that was important to cover here. I think so. If not, we will cover it in the subsequent slides. But I do hope that this gave you sort of a good enough introduction of Data Factory, so you can then understand, going forward, what we will be doing and what will be happening. I really wanted to share this because I think on this customer stories page that's publicly accessible and any of you can access, we have so many examples of what customers can do with Data Factory. Is just amazing. So a really good place to get inspiration from. I think when we talk about the choice of an ETL tool or any tool, any technology out there, really, it's really important to know if you are adopting something that has widespread community acceptance, where there's a vibrant community of users, that create content, post different scenarios that can help answer your questions, and we can definitely say that about Data Factory. Data Factory has a great community of users, great community of contributors, and people that are happy to help when you are looking for inspiration or really answers to some questions. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about the Data Factory capabilities. But before that, I'm going to drink a little bit of water. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of built-in connectors that you can just, go to the Data Factory Studio and use out of the box. It's built in. You don't have to take care of anything. Just specify the connection string and connect to it. It's really amazing. This number keeps growing. So if you find a connector that's not yet available, reach out and provide feedback. Actually, we do work on adding new connectors. Okay. So in this slide, really, I think it's a great showcase of some of the activities that are available in Data Factory, and I hope you can see it because I think this could be a little bit too small. But really, if we look at it, you can see how different activities, the get metadata activity that can get metadata about the file, as the name really suggests. So let's say you retrieve the less modified data of a file, and then you use that to decide in an if condition, you can have an action defined for the if true and then if false. You can have a copy activity, and then for each loop, there's a very big number of activities going on in here. And then at the end, you have this on success and on failure paths. That's also great to see. So just some of the, possibilities that Data Factory offers. Now, if we speak about the choice of doing transformations by writing code or code-free, then in Data Factory, we have at least two ways to make your data transformations code-free. And this is through mapping data flows and wrangling data flows. So both mapping data flows and wrangling data flows are really a way to define visually data transformations. And then we transform that into code and submit it to Spark clusters. And what we see here in the slide is really a sample mapping data flow. transformation, and it's very easy to use. I encourage really everybody that haven't tried this to just go to the UI. You very easily define your sources, what transformations you want to do, and then you define your sync, and it's a really very easy and friendly way to do data transformations. And this is the UI for the wrangling data flows. And really what it is it addresses the audience which has Power Query, Excel Power Query knowledge. So, we have this zero barrier entry for the users that have this knowledge to come to Data Factory and define the data transformations, and then come here and just create these and execute on Spark without having to take care of the nitty-gritty details of writing code. All right. Of course, as we mentioned, Data Factory offers you the capability to ingest and move terabytes of data. It was really designed to move huge amounts of data, and it scales to fulfill any needs. Usually, when I work with customers, I always encourage there is a setting that defines how many data integration units, which are basically the compute, an abstract measure of compute that is available to a specific activity. I always recommend to just setting it on auto, because auto would mean that Data Factory will try to throw as much compute as it can until it saturates your data stores or the next network connection that you have in between. So just let it do its magic. It will give you as much compute as is actually optimal for that specific activity. And of course, you can transform your data, code-free or code-centric, depending on the skills that you have. You can choose to do one or the other. And I think this is a great thing that ADF offers choice. If you know how to write Scala code, great. Then just come on and use something like Azure Insight or Databricks to do that, or Apache Spark pools in Synapse Analytics. All right. As I already briefly mentioned, you can have the possibility to rehost your SSIS packages successfully on ADF. Just lift and shift these, so you don't have to pay for infrastructure, pay and manage infrastructure on-prem, and then this gives you sort of a little bit of space to breathe and transform those into native Data Factory activities. All right. So if we think about everything that I spoke about here, one very important aspect of having these complex ETL pipelines is really your ability to monitor what's happening within those pipelines. And Data Factory has a great monitoring tool that allows you to see, what has been happening with your pipelines and when it fails. And, if you want to monitor performance as well, you can see a lot of details that will help you sort of understand what is happening with your pipeline. All right. Now, on the developer productivity section, I'm really excited about this capability. We now support IntelliSense in the expression builder in Data Factory. I think this is really cool and was really needed, so I'm super excited about this. Another cool thing is that we have the template gallery, which is actually allowing you to leverage templates that exist out there, which can be Microsoft templates in the gallery, but also templates from other community members. But you can also create your own templates that you can share publicly or just with your organization. And I think this is a great way to reuse units of work that you create in Data Factory. And this is at the pipeline level, right? So you create these templates that you post in the gallery and make available to other data engineers. But you can also create something we call flowlets that let you reuse pieces of transformation that you have in mapping data flows. So it's not just the entire pipeline. Now you can use just a piece of the transformation that you are interested in, right? So great way to save effort. All right, I think I'm gonna sort of move a little bit quicker here, just because we don't have a lot of time. So you can leverage cost management and budgeting for Data Factory just as for any other service in Azure, which is great. Helps with budgeting and keeping costs within track. Okay. This slide really shows just how many new features and functionalities we introduced in the past year. And this is just to really, again, support this idea that Data Factory is a mature tool. There's a lot of adoption around it. And we internally are also very excited and are working hard to improve it continuously. All right. And now, demo time. All right, I'm gonna try and move my other window. Everything is extremely slow, so bear with me. Okay. Now, I hope that everybody can see this screen, which is the Data Factory screen. Okay. All right, so this is the Data Factory Studio. Now, I'm not going to create a new instance, but really creating a Data Factory instance is very easy and straightforward. You can do this through the Azure portal, of course, but also through SDKs. When you're landing in a Data Factory Studio, this is the screen you see. Now, there are quite a few things to explore in here. I'm going to sort of delve straight into the copy data tool that I want to show you. And if we're left with some time at the end, then I'll show you around more. I just want to make sure that we are sort of going through this tool, because I think this is the most important piece of any presentation, really, the demo part. So in here, in the copy data tool, this is really a wizard-based way to create those entities that I discussed about earlier, the linked services, the data sets, the activities, the pipelines. So you just define everything in this copy data tool. And then at the end, when you click finish, all of those objects are created. And I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. Now, in here, we can choose really to have a copy activity, so a pipeline with a copy activity, or we can have a metadata-driven copy task, which is what we are going to do right now. I'm very excited about this metadata-driven copy task because it's a really nice way to do metadata-driven ETL in a very, very easy to start way. So in any metadata-driven pipeline, you will need a place to store your metadata. Here we will do this in a control table. So we will define the linked service right now for our metadata table. So I'm going to choose Azure SQL Database as the type of the linked service that I want to have. I'm going to give it a name that will help me subsequently understand what this linked service is about. Okay, I'm gonna say Azure SQL DB. Now everything is extremely slow. Okay. All right, let's just hope that this will be a bit better going forward. All right, I'm gonna filter for my subscription. All right, if this is how it's going to move, I'm not even sure we are going to be through with our demo, but let's stay optimistic. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm choosing my server name, and I'm going to choose now my database. What we will be using as the database is really just the AdventureWorks database sample. Okay, I need you to refresh then if you're not finding any databases. Yeah, this is not a great experience, but yeah, I think it's really because my connection is eating my entire bandwidth. Okay, just because this is very slow, I'm going to use a linked service that I already have pre-created. But basically, this is the wizard where you define your server name and then your database, and then the authentication type. And here you will say, okay, these are the credentials that I'm going to be using. Let's see if this will go well. Nope. Because now I see the loading in there. Okay, I don't think this this will load. Another cool thing that you can do in here is actually test the connection. If we would have everything filled in, I could test the connection. This is a great way to ensure that you know, things are discard. Yes. I am going to try and stop my camera in hopes that that will give me a little bit more bandwidth. Let's see. Usually that that should help. Oh, right. This is not at all great. Like I did, of course, try this a few times on my side before, and it was taking me 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, let me try to refresh this. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that this is due to me sharing. My internet connection is pretty good, so yeah, I guess not good enough. If we are not going to be successful with going through the copy data tool, I'll be very sad, but I can still show you some like a data factory. A pipeline that that I have in here. Okay, this was quick enough. All right, so I'm just going to use this linked service. That I created previously. Now, this creates a new table where the metadata will be stored, and I'm just going to give it the schema as well. This is the table it will be creating. If you don't like the name, you can change it. I'm going to just leave it this way. All right. In the source type, we can choose what is the source that we want to use. I will be, as I mentioned, using a SQL database where I have the AdventureWorks sample database imported. Now, in here, we can use a new a new link service. Let's hope this now goes better. All right, so let me see. Let me just use this naming convention. All right. This is the subscription that I'm using. This is the server name. And now I'm going to use this database. We have a few authentication types. I'm going to stick with SQL authentication in here. That was my user. I guess we're going to see. My test connection failed or not. Let's see. Test connection successful. Great. Let's create this linked service. All right. Now, cool thing that happened is that it retrieved all of the tables that I had in the database. I'm going to select all and deselect these two because they are not as interesting for us in here. Another cool thing that we can is actually copy. We can choose to copy our views as well. I'm not going to do that, but I think it's pretty cool. Next. Okay, so here is a very interesting screen that we have on here. We can choose to do a full load of our tables, or we can configure each table individually. And really, at the individual table level, we have the option to do a full load or a delta load. So usually what you would do is basically maybe do a migration of your data or just a full load, right? When you just want to, load the data for analytics. And then you'll come and do delta loads. And so I think it's very cool that this copy tool offers you the possibility to use it for both scenarios. Here you'll specify a column for your watermark, and then you can also, okay, let me first choose it so I can also have this field pop up with the watermark column value start, where I can just basically say what is my start, the start interval. I'm not going to do this right now. Actually, I'm just going to go to the full load of all the tables, but I just want you to know that this is out there and you can just take advantage of it. Now, we are going to do the same for the target. We will be defining the target details. In this specific case, I'm going to copy all my data to Data Lake. For the Data Lake, just as for the for our Azure SQL database, we will be defining the linked service name. Okay, this is, by the way, where you have the compute. So here I have this auto-resolve integration runtime. I also have a managed VNet integration runtime, and I can create a new type of compute. I'm gonna just stick with the auto-resolve. For this demo, I'm gonna do, okay, so selecting my subscription, now selecting my storage account. Okay, now let's test the connection, of course. Now, because I'm a subscription owner, I have access, and it just basically retrieved the account key, and that's why the connection is successful. Usually for production scenarios, what I would suggest is to actually store your secret in a key vault and use ADF managed identity to authenticate against the key vault and retrieve the secret. So don't store your secrets in Data Factory. All right, in this is basically where we define the data set, as you can see on the left side. I'm going to choose which container I want to land my data in. I have this landing container, which I'm going to use. The type of file that I want to write. I think this is also something that you can choose in here. I'm going to stick with just the text, but you can see all of the formats that you have in here that you can choose, and then tweak also different settings for the file format. All right, this is just a generic settings page now with that allows you to specify things like how many concurrent copy activities you want. I'm gonna leave this everything on auto. Then you have also the consistency verification and some fault tolerance features. I'm not gonna work with them right now, just in the interest of time, so to say. Now, this is a summary screen where we have a summary of everything that we defined in the previous steps. If you're happy with what you're seeing here, click next. Now, what it does, this is the magic behind this tool. It creates the data sets and the pipelines, and it generates this script, this SQL script for you to create the control table, which is very, very cool because now you don't have to do this manually. You can just use Data Factory. And I just pasted this in SSMS. I'm going to create this quickly. And then we will be able to execute our pipeline. Okay, that is successful. Now let's go and view this pipeline. So now where it redirected us is basically into the authoring pane of the Data Factory UI. We can see that these three pipelines were created by the copy data tool. It bungled everything under the same folder, which is really nice. It did the same with the data sets. This is where the data sets that we have created are. So everything was created under the hood for us. Now, let's see if it actually works by debugging it. This is, by the way, a very nice, I'm not going to change the parameter numbers, but you can tweak those as well. All right, this is starting. A very nice way to author your pipelines is using this debug capability. So you don't have to publish anything just yet. You can debug to see that everything works as expected, and then you publish your changes against the live service. In this case, I did not connect my data factory to a Git repository. So everything that I'll be publishing will be against the live service. We don't really recommend that. We really recommend you to connect to a Git repository. You know, this allows you to do partial saves. So save a pipeline that's not yet ready and wouldn't pass validation for publishing against the live service. You can do that and then get back to it later to continue working on it. So it's very nice because so besides the debugging the entire pipeline, you also have the possibility to set breakpoints. As you can see, this is where I would specify that, hey, I don't want to debug my entire pipeline. I just want to debug this lookup activity. And then actually, this is exactly how you would do this. You know, you would create this lookup activity. You would debug just this activity. You would want to see what is the data that it returns. Now we see that the entire pipeline was successful. Great. When coming in here, let me just make a little bit more room. When coming, you can see the input and the output of each of your activities. Now, when looking at the output of this lookup, I can see that I specified, now this is what I specified. I specified that I only want to retrieve the first row, which is the count of the items. I'm not retrieving all of the items, I'm just retrieving the count. It's because there's a little bit of more complex logic going on in here. So this is my parent pipeline, and then I have two nested layers of this. This was done because lookup activity has a limit of 5,000 items, so we can only retrieve 5,000 items. If you want to retrieve more, this is how we basically went around that hard limit by nesting, different pipelines within each other. So we can pass in everything that's above 5,000 to the next pipeline, so to say. And if you remember, when I debug the pipeline, I think I can actually go and do that again. I'm saying max number of objects returned is 5,000. So I don't allow more than 5,000, because if it's more than 5,000, my lookup will fail, and that's not cool. Okay, that was it basically. Now I also want to go with you and show briefly what has happened actually in my landing container. We just want to make sure that actually our data was copied properly, right? So this is the landing container that we specified, and here are our files. So everything was successful, great. Let's go now back to Data Factory. So this is the way you would monitor the output from a debug. However, we can go to the actual monitor pane in the studio and see, what happened here. I have quite some failed pipelines as well while digging through it. So this monitoring part of the portal allows you to filter. Of course, you can look at the triggered pipelines, debug pipelines, which are our case in here, filter by the pipeline name, the status, the time at which it executed. You can copy these filters and actually save them. This is actually quite cool. And then you can also export to CSV the information that you have in here. Now we can see these are the three pipelines that we just executed. So we have a top level, a middle level, and bottom level. Now this was composed just so it can accommodate really for any type of size, for scenarios where you have more than 5,000 tables that you're copying in one go, and so users don't have to worry about that. But honestly, most of the use cases, at least when building POCs, won't be as huge. So you can also just have one level pipeline that does this same metadata-driven task for sure. What other things we have? I think there are a lot of interesting things. I'm not gonna obviously have the time to show everything. I also want to leave a few minutes for questions at the end. But I do also want to go to this Manage tab that we have. So this is where we store the linked service information, as you have as you can see here. Everything under the hood is just JSON files, which you can go to and actually modify directly the JSON file, click apply, and this will save the change. You, of course, need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, if it's invalid, you won't be able to save the changes, of course. Integration runtime. Now, we also have native integration with Purview, which means that for all of the data pipelines and transformations that you have in Data Factory, you can have data lineage in Purview, which is very cool, of course. So it's a full-blown data governance solution that is integrated with Data Factory. The Git configuration, we don't have this set up here. This is where you would see the settings and change them if required. To move data factories from between environments, so from your dev data factory to your QA and then to your production data factory, you would do this with ARM templates. Now, do you actually export the ARM template here, or do you set up an automated CI/CD? Is, of course, a choice you need to make. I would suggest really to leverage the capability to do this in an automated fashion. But of course, in the beginning, it's also useful to just do it like that. We have the triggers, our global parameters. I realize I didn't talk a lot about parameters and global parameters, but briefly, this is one very nice way in Data Factory in which you can create reusable pipelines, and instead of hard coding values, you can dynamically pass in values and create pipelines that you can reuse. So basically, instead of having a linked service for 10 SQL servers that you're trying to copy data from, you parameterize the server name and the database name. You retrieve this dynamically and at runtime, and now you can have one single linked service instead of 10 multiplied by the number of databases that you have in those 10 servers, right? So it's quite quite nice, I would say. Now, credentials, customer managed key, that's if you choose to encrypt your data factory with your own managed key, and managed private endpoints, which are created when you are leveraging the managed VNet integration runtime that I spoke about before. All right, this was a lot of talking on my side. I hope this was useful. I hope you take something out of it, and you go and try out the data factory and the copy data tool and the subsequent authoring experience. I want to really give a few minutes at the end to ask if there are any questions, any feedback, really anything on your side at this point.
Thank you, Olga. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
We can, I think, switch on our cameras now and then just add ourselves to the stream.
Okay, let me do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, yes. So thank you so much for this lovely presentation today. Let's just give it a second if for people to catch up and ask their questions if there is any. But yeah, in the meantime, do you have a secret tip? Actually, let me ask you that. When people just starting
a secret tip. Yeah. So I am with Data Factory.
Very well for you when you were starting off, or something,
Yes, so I think I'm with Data Factory since this version 2 of Data Factory was launched. So I worked also with version 1 of Data Factory. It's a dramatic change. It's great. Really what helped me along the way in learning and using Data Factory was to just getting my hands dirty with it, as in just going there and trying to do things. And I think this is true for any technology, really. So it's not as much a secret, is more of a cliche that I'm going to share. But this is really true. It doesn't matter how easy it seemed when I built this pipeline quickly through the copy data tool. If you go and try it out, maybe it won't be as easy for you. But after going through that and having your first successful pipeline running, that'll be the best lesson and really the best advice that I can give anybody.
Practice, right?
Exactly. Definitely.
We say it for a reason, because it is true.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no more questions, as it seems. So yeah, I'm going to just say another big thank you for you right now, Olga, and hope to have you back at SaaS Academy in the near future again for a fantastic session.
Yes, I
enjoy
hope
the
so
rest
too.
of your
Thank
day.
you.
And yes, thank you. Thank you everyone to joining for this session today. You will be able to rewatch this session again on our YouTube channel in just a couple of days. With that said, yes, once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your days, mornings, evenings, wherever you are. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.